out of everything in Europe. They finished bottom of the group. Bayern Munich winning by 1-0. Bayern confirmed then, we knew they were going to be top of the group anyway. Elsewhere, Copenhagen with that 1-0 win over Galatasaray sees them qualified second, and they'll be in Friday's draw. Mark Ogden is with us with a dodgy internet, so this could be fun. Jan Aage Fjortoft with us as well. Craig, that was a great 90 minutes.
Oh, I have to be honest, I just loved all the games up there on the screen. It was just so exciting, you know. Final day at the office in the Champions League. I think, really, there is some congratulations in order here, if we go the other way. Because it's actually quite an achievement for Manchester United to finish bottom of that group.
Right.
Trust me. There is some achievement to finish bottom of that group. Bayern Munich, by the way, have struggled a little bit in Germany.
Yeah.
They're not the
they lost 5-1 at the weekend. That's quite
hammered by Eintracht Frankfurt. Galatasaray, I've got no recent history in the Champions League. And Copenhagen, you know, they're a workman-like side, but, you know, the budget's very small in comparison, and yet they finished bottom of the group, having lost the most amount of goals by any English team ever in the group stages. I mean, there's nothing else to say, but it was unexpected, and it's an embarrassment.
Ten Hag said they didn't deserve to lose.
Oh, well. Eric, you're not helping yourself, Eric. Look, and the stats will tell you a story, but I think if you just want to focus on something, this was a match that Manchester United needed to win, regardless of what happened at Copenhagen. Manchester United needed to give themselves a chance, an opportunity to win. In order to do that, early on in the match, I was expecting, I don't know why, but I was expecting that Manchester United were going to come out and we're going to contest and we're going to compete and challenge 50-50 balls and win duels so that at the very least you get Old Trafford behind you, believing that this was possible. And what did we see from Manchester United? Watching Bayern Munich play and have possession of the ball. It's almost as if this team has already accepted their fate. Yeah. That they are resigned to the fact they're a bad team. They've accepted it, and now you're just going through the motions. And yes, you run around and you put some endeavor, just enough to get through, but not enough to challenge anybody in particular. In that quote, post-game, he also said that the team showed spirit. I watched Manchester United play, and there is no spirit. There is no soul. There is no life in this team. There is no sparkle. There is no fire. There is nothing. There is an acceptance of being a bad team. And once the players accept that, and the manager seems to be accepting that as well, even though he may say something differently, and the fans themselves, they've accepted it as well. They're resigned to the realities of Manchester United. There's nowhere to go here. Nowhere to go, nowhere to turn. Manchester United, simply put, they're a bad team without any sort of soul, without any sort of spirit, without any fire.
Mark, it almost felt like a pre-season friendly. It was weird. There was so much apathy in the crowd, on the pitch. There was no spirit, as Ali said. It was a weird game.
Yeah, I mean, Ali's 100% right in how he sums it up. You know, there is no spirit. And the way that Ten Hag was talking was like a manager in the FA Cup that's just taken a League Two side to the Premier League, and he's been really proud of the spirit and the effort of his players, but never had a chance to compete in. So, I mean, listen, I think this is one of the worst Man United teams I've ever seen, and certainly in the Premier League era. You know, they've had bad times under David Moyes and Ralph Rangnick and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but there's such a lack of quality and a lack of there's just lack of everything. There's just nothing there. I mean, they've wasted so much money on so many players. You know, Anthony's, £80-odd million waste of money. Rasmus Højlund, you feel sorry for the guy because nobody knows what he is, because they're not passing the ball to him. He's not getting chances. And when they're bringing Hannibal on from the bench, Hannibal spent last season on loan at Birmingham in the Championship. He's a Championship player. He's not a Premier League player. He's not a Champions League player. But this is what United have resorted to now. They're a team of, cast-offs and patch-up players and kids that aren't good enough. And, ultimately you get what you pay for, don't you? And United don't. United don't get what they pay for. They spend a lot of money and get ripped off. But if you're buying patch-up players like Amrabat and Johnny Evans, you're going to end up in this situation where you're so far adrift of everybody else. And I dread to think what's going to happen at Anfield on Sunday. But tonight was an example of United being given a chasing by a team that's much better than them.
Jan, were you surprised by the manner of the defeat at all today?
Absolutely. And I think that I had the pleasure, or maybe not always the pleasure, to play against the best Manchester United teams. And the only things that are left from that time is the shirt and the badge. Imagine the thing that you spend the whole last season trying all you can to get into Champions League. That is your only aim. Top 4 is the magical thing. We have to be top 4. We have to be there. That is the next step. Manchester United should always be in the Champions League. So you get to the Champions League. You're so lucky, like the boys are saying. A great group for them. This is not group of death. This is great of opposite of death. You can, I mean, and that is that is life in that group, and that is no disrespect to Copenhagen, because if you see the games Copenhagen has done this round, even against Bayern Munich at home, they deserve to win that game. Galatasaray, yes, they have their history, they have their passion, everything, and Bayern will always there. So this were Manchester United. So Manchester United come down in the situation that they are last in the group. So today and tonight there was a theory. Maybe if they win at home against a team that lost 5-1 to Eintracht Frankfurt, they could hope for a draw. That could happen in Copenhagen, between Copenhagen and Galatasaray. So what do? They come out and do nothing. And I think that what is most, well, I'm not sure if it's annoying or they get irritated, is as Ten Hag that I've said before, I like the way he said when he came there, I will do this, I will do that. Well, Ten Hag, there is no way that this is Ajax. There is no way this is Manchester United. I'm just wondering what you tried to do. Today there was nothing, and I'm with the boys. It's hard to get after the 3 boys slaughtering them as they did. But today there were nothing. I didn't see anything. And I think that is scaring to see. And having said that, I think Mark said it well. You get what you pay for, except at Manchester United at the Chelsea Football Club.
If Harry Kane has gone to speak to the English media, and I presume he has, the only words he needs to say is, "Thank God this lot didn't bid for me properly in the summer." Because, you know, I was a big advocate of, well, and I think rightly so, United had to go for big top quality players. And Rasmus Højlund, you know, needs somebody that he can lean on, that he can come off the bench or play in the odd game. He's not going to carry that front line. And so I was a big advocate of going for these big players, which they didn't do. They went and they spent their money in all these different areas that I think we know they didn't really need them, to be fair. And so Harry Kane has dodged a bullet there. But let's be honest, there's no point this team even being in European football this year.
Right.
It's just too big for them. Even the Europa League's too much for them. They can't handle most of the teams in the Premier League. So
let me ask you this: do you get rid of Ten Hag now?
Well, he's going to manage the Liverpool game at the weekend, isn't he? But I would be surprised if that's going to be anything other than a bit of a drubbing at the moment.
Right.
I mean, I just don't see an avenue for anything else, to be quite frank with you. And then where they go, I don't know.
God, that's not ideal, is it? That Christmas period.
I'm looking at this partial investment by Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and you have to ask yourself, and these are big business people, is he really getting value for money for what he's putting into what he's getting? Because there is so much work needs done, both on the field and off the field. It's millions, if not billions. So I hope he knows what he's getting to sell in for, because what's on the field is dreadful.
What will it take for Ten Hag not to be in charge when we kick off the new year, Mark?
I mean, look, I think there's 2 things that are saving Ten Hag right now. The fact that there's nobody upstairs to make a decision because the Glazers are waiting for the Jim Ratcliffe thing to be done. And the fact that there's not really an obvious successor. I mean, we had this situation 2 years ago with Solskjaer, and they brought in Ralf Rangnick, and that was a disaster. So if there was an obvious candidate out there, if a Thomas Tuchel, for instance, was out of work like he was a couple of years ago, then there you go. But so there's a void above him, and there's a lack of obvious candidates to replace him. But results can't carry on like this. Results are so bad. But there are other things that you have to factor in. So obviously, if they sack another manager, it costs money to sack a manager. United owe around £300 million on outstanding payments and transfer fees. So they've got that fact. They've got a lot of debt to service. They've also
the Glazers apparently have taken over Mark's.
Yes. I think they've pulled the plug.
Sir Jim Ratcliffe needs to put a couple of billion into his internet.
I hope he's kept the receipt. You look at these names and you don't see why, Jan. Why would they go?
No, they won't. I mean, Zinedine Zidane has been very good at building his career. Why should he go to Manchester United and die? Graham Potter has tried the same at tried the same as Chelsea. Oh, I go to another club that spent billion on players and nobody knows what I can do. Julian Nagelsmann is busy enough to try to save Germany before the Euros. I mean, must be the worst German team in the history of football. And instead of taking them into their home, that is enough challenge for him. So he's locked up till the summer. So now nobody will go. There will be managers saying that they want to go to Manchester United, but they're certain that what will save him is there are so many trouble and problems at Manchester United now. To fire the managers, just okay. It's just like, okay, you did that. Okay, what about that? Now that we take later. Yeah, what about that? No, we don't know. We don't know. And this Sir Jim Ratcliffe guy, every week I read, next week he'll be in. He must be thinking, I can't get in. I can't get in. I will lose my Sir title if I get into that club.
He's waiting for a win.
Well, good luck. Good luck.
Of some repute. Is there nobody at this club? Is there anybody at this football club that wears a suit and is able to make decisions, watches the team, but then listens to the manager?
Well, clearly not. The evidence is...
And then says, this is a manager who says we've played well when they haven't. This is a manager who said we're not consistent enough to even compete and beat the likes of Bournemouth at home. This is a manager who's waffled and waffled and waffled. And last year actually spoke some sense, but it was maybe easier for him. Now he's been found floundering and he hasn't got the answer. And he's leaving out World Cup winners and Raphael Varane for the likes of Johnny Evans, not tonight, I know, but for the likes of Johnny Evans, who was scratching around for a club in the summer at 36, and Harry Maguire, who was surplus to requirements. He's playing players out of position. His fingerprints are on the signing of Antony and others. And then he comes out and makes no sense in the press. So why would you keep him? Apart from the fact you just don't want to throw away more money after all the money that you've already wasted on players. That's the only reason. Because can anybody tell me that they would have any confidence in Erik ten Hag turning this around? Not with what you watch on the field and not what you listen to in press conferences. It's clueless.
Meanwhile, Bayern went into this game knowing they'd already won, but they came into this game off the back, as Jan mentioned, a 5-1 defeat. This was an absolute gift, wasn't it? Exactly what you wanted after that sort of defeat, to go to somewhere like Old Trafford, get a result. Look, see, we're not as bad as everybody thought.
Right, and not only that, but they're playing Stuttgart this weekend.
Yeah, and who are the surprise package.
Correct, and Stuttgart have been flying in Bundesliga. And so it was surprising to see that Thomas Tuchel said, no, we're going to put our best team out there because, again, you play Stuttgart this weekend. But it wasn't surprising in the sense that you just got destroyed by Eintracht Frankfurt. And the last time that we saw Bayern Munich being embarrassed was losing to Saarbrücken, third division team in the Pokal. And what was their reaction? To go and destroy Dortmund. So, look, eventually, I think Bayern Munich is going to get better than what they were today. If Leroy Sané had a good game today, he probably would have had 2 or 3 goals himself. That wasn't quite the case. I don't think it was a fantastic game from Bayern Munich's perspective, but it didn't need to be. Because, guess what? The game was played at a pace that was comfortable for them, comfortable enough that it felt like a training session, comfortable enough to where they could get enough touches and build enough confidence and win the game and feel good about themselves going into the weekend. And so, yeah, from the perspective of Thomas Tuchel, you sell it as we went to Old Trafford, we beat Manchester United. It was the preparation that we needed ahead of Stuttgart this weekend.
I heard an absolute classic at the end, and it wasn't Jan, because Jan wasn't there. Oh. But Thomas Tuchel, and I don't know how he kept a straight face, in his interview was asked, how does it feel off the back of the Frankfurt game to take a scalp like Manchester United?
Wow.
And I'm thinking, he's doing his best not to laugh because he could have turned... I mean, they're a pub team.
Yeah.
They are a pub team at the moment. And so it is getting... Listen, it would have been an embarrassment for them. And that's what we were talking about yesterday, that they had to have, and it wasn't a great performance from them, but it didn't have to be. First gear, second gear, whatever it was. But they couldn't afford another embarrassment off the back of the Frankfurt game. And quite frankly, it never looked like it was going to be one.
As Craig says, second gear sums it up quite nicely, doesn't it, Jan?
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to give it to Bayern. They haven't lost a group stage game in the Champions League since 2017. I mean, that is an unbelievable stat. And it was interesting reading the German media or interview with the players before the game. They all look forward to go to Old Trafford. Wow, they're going to the Holy Grail, the theatre of dreams and everything. And all they met was 11 shirts that were put on the pitch. I mean, that is nothing. Do you know, the Germans and the foreigners, when you come to Old Trafford, when you come to Manchester United, it's all about the tradition, it's all about the folklore. And I think what's going on now, I mean, what can end up with Ten Hag struggling for his job is that it's all getting embarrassing. Because the thing is that Manchester United on one department, on one is that they are earning money. They are still a great brand around the world. People know about Manchester United, but you can't keep on being embarrassed as you are. Well, it's not embarrassing losing against Bayern, maybe, but it's embarrassing how you lose against Bayern, that you showed it yourself. They're still looking for Bruno Fernandes' ball after that best finish they had in the whole game. So that is Manchester United 2023. Bournemouth is one thing. Now you come into Liverpool game. Oh, there must be some Manchester United fans thinking, going up that M62, that must be a terrible road for them, thinking of Sunday.
I know Aage said it, and I know Rob Dawson has said it. But I don't see how they can go to Liverpool if they get hammered and he can survive.
But who's making that decision? That's what the point is. There's no director of sport at the moment because Sir Jim is going to come in and bring his sporting director. So who's going to do the sacking?
Well, there has to be somebody there. I mean,
no one. There's the one there.
I just don't see how you can go up there. It might not happen. It might be somehow it might be a close game. But if Liverpool spank them, I just don't see, by the reaction of the fans and the media and all these recent results, I just don't see how this club can sit back and say, we're not going to do anything. I just can't see it.
Maybe there's a hardcore fan out there that says, hold on a second, but we only lost 1-0 to Bayern Munich. Maybe it was a tight result. We were there. No, you weren't. And I think is the point here, and it's something that Jan was alluding to, is how you lose. They were never close. No. And the result may just be 1-0, but it might as well have been 10-0, because that's the difference between Bayern Munich and Manchester United right now, and Manchester United and most teams right now, most teams that are at the elite level, they're playing at a different level than Manchester United are, and that Manchester United will be in the foreseeable future. So the 1-0 result, I don't think, tells the whole story of what the game was like and how clear the gap exists between the elite teams and whatever Manchester United is right now.
Chelsea and Man United are really, I don't know about you guys, they're really boring the pants off me right now. Because I feel that we have to come in here
20 minutes of the show, we talked about United.
and say the same thing about two clubs that have just been run terribly. Terribly. And both have done the same thing, if you've noticed. Splashed the cash and recruited terribly. Both of them. And neither of the two of them are in Europe now. Chelsea obviously weren't in Europe, and United are now not in it. And it's just so tedious to have to come in here. And people think we enjoy it. I prefer talking about Tottenham and how they're playing. I prefer talking about Newcastle and adversity with all these injuries. I prefer talking about Arsenal and Aston Villa and how Unai Emery's doing a great job. But we can't. They're such big stories, but they're so obvious. It's so obvious. And every now and again they get a result. One of them gets a result and they go, see, we're not that bad. No. You are bad. You're rotten to the core at the moment. Absolutely, both these clubs are rotten to the core with ownerships and people that think they know what they're doing and think just because they've got money and they can spend money, they can make it work. Sure. Well, that's not how it works these days.